Hey folks, it's Jared Mananen from the website TahoeTrailGuide.com. Today we're going to be talking about the proper fit of your cross-country ski boots. The really short answer to the question as to how your boots should fit is that they should fit comfortably. They should be snug like a running shoe, but not tight or constrictive like an alpine ski boot. Believe it or not, they should just fit comfortably. There shouldn't be a whole lot of play between your foot and the boot, so you shouldn't have so much space in there that could potentially cause chafing or blisters. They just need to be snug enough to stay on your foot and allow for natural flexion of your toes and your ankles so that when you're cross-country skiing, you essentially don't even notice the shoe that's on your foot. Keep in mind that, distance racing and cross-country skiing could be upwards of like 50 kilometers. So if you imagine how you want to feel after 10 kilometers, that's going to be the same you want to feel when you're skiing 50 kilometers. Or if you just happen to be skiing all day long, maybe not those same distances, but the same time in those boots. So you need to have comfortable fitting cross-country ski boots. And that essentially applies to a classic or a skate ski boot. Although I will say that skate ski boots tend to be a bit stiffer because we're doing a lateral weight transfer and our ankles naturally flex fore and aft really easily, but we want to decrease that flexion as we're going from side to side in the push-off phase of skate skiing. They also have a lot more upper ankle support, again, to minimize the amount of twisting going on in your ankles when you're pushing off laterally. In classic skiing, however, you don't need that lateral stability necessarily because we're moving in this linear fashion, just like we're walking or running. Our feet are pretty much in this straight line, all things considered. So we need to flex at our toes naturally, our ankles as well. If you look at a racing classic ski boot, essentially it's a track shoe with a little tiny gaiter around it. It's got a somewhat stiff platform, still flexible enough to allow that foot to bend, but it does transfer power, that stiffer platform, to the ski through the binding. A lot of people want to jump right into a boot that has all kinds of ankle support and is just like armor. Either they come from an alpine background or they have no snow sports experience at all and just feel like they're not very stable on those cross-country skis. I totally understand that because most classic track skis are 40 to 50 millimeters wide, and that's not much of a platform on which to put your body and balance on. But as you develop your technique, your body positioning will require less and less boot support because you already understand how your body is supposed to be balanced on those skis. If you're one of those people who want to go right into some sort of big ankle support type boot, I would say rather than doing that, go ahead and do it if that's going to keep you safe and keep you comfortable on those skis, but realize that you want to invest more in learning proper technique, proper body positioning on those skis, learning balance on one leg at a time so that you don't require an external device in which to keep you upright. You want to develop your body, that internal feel of how you're supposed to be standing on that ski. Depending on what type of cross-country skiing you plan to do, that's going to influence your decision as to what type of boot you're going to buy. For example, if you plan on doing mostly skiing at a groomed cross-country ski resort or area where you're on uniformly firm snow, just a basic, soft, classic cross-country ski boot is going to be perfect for you. You don't need all kinds of extra heavy boot support and all that stuff unless you have some sort of ankle injury. But if you don't have any injuries and you're just new to it, learn to make do with those softer boots because they are way more comfortable, and it's going to rely on you to develop your muscles, your agility and your body, and in the long run that's going to benefit you a lot more than if you try to like strap all this different stuff on you. And in fact, some boots are just going to be somewhat prohibitive as to learning really good technique because they are so much stiffer based on all the extra support mechanisms that they have in them. So a light duty boot for lighter skis. If you're going to be on track skis at a groomed resort, you don't need a heavy boot. You want a light boot that can drive that lightweight ski relatively easy. All season this year in 2020, 2021, I nearly wore this old pair of really inexpensive touring boots that have no support whatsoever. It's basically like a slipper that I'm wearing, but they're super comfortable, and I never have to worry about my feet getting blisters or being uncomfortable or being cold. That's another thing when it comes to having a boot that has a lot of extra stuff to it, whether that's padding, whether that's straps and you know, plastic or carbon type ankle support. Is the more restrictive that your foot becomes inside that boot, the colder it's going to be in theory. With those slippers, with those soft boots, we can just flex our feet all day long, so you got circulation flowing through your feet and they stay warm. But I understand that people would want to buy something with more ankle support, but I just can't emphasize enough that taking technique, learning proper body position on your skis will always be more advantageous to you than trying to accommodate with this external structure that's going to keep you upright or on the ski properly. Learn to feel the proper position on your ski and learn to develop your skills so that you require less in order to have more fun. I had a guy come into the rental shop this winter who was asking about mounting some Nordic bindings on an alpine ski for use in icier conditions, or whether or not he can mount some type of binding on a cross-country ski that will allow him to lock his heels down to deal with icier condition. And I totally applaud his desire to be innovative and try to make something a DIY project in order to accommodate his skills. The problem though is that it didn't sound like he was super experienced as a cross-country skier and didn't know technique and body position. So if your first instinct is to immediately manipulate the gear or alter the gear to accommodate your lack of skills, for lack of a better phrase, look at investing in technique. And that means taking lessons perhaps once every couple of weeks throughout the season for one season, or taking a series of classes that may be offered locally. I understand that a lot of places don't necessarily have lessons available, which is one reason why people come to YouTube. For that, I'm grateful. But it really is important to have lessons and learn proper technique, because that will always be way more beneficial to you than trying to make gear somehow compensate for your lack of technique or body position, that sort of thing. So the fit of a boot should be comfortable. If you're pushing light skis like track skis or skate skis, you don't need heavy duty, beefy boots to go with it, or bindings for that matter. You just need light duty boots, because that's all it requires. If you plan on doing all off-track and backcountry, cross-country skiing where you're dealing with variable terrain all the time, whether that's deep snow or whether it's all sun-cupped and washed out and wind scoured, definitely a beefier boot that's taller, that has that ankle support, as well as just provides a little bit more warmth for those backcountry excursions where you may not be going quite as fast. Something a little bit more robust is recommended, just because you're going to be faced with all kinds of different conditions, and it is nice to have that extra support. I agree in that case, when you're dealing with that off-track and backcountry environment, that having a more robust boot with a little bit more ankle support will help you manipulate those edges of your skis to deal with icier terrain and with deep snow, trying to move your skis around in that deeper snow. So I totally get that, but that's for that off-track and backcountry environment. Whereas if you're just going to groomed terrain, just having a really basic classic cross-country ski boot, you're going to be fine once you learn technique. That's the caveat, and that's always a caveat. It always goes back to technique. You know, what can we do with our bodies, with ourselves? How can we change that in order to have a better time and be safer, rather than can I just keep throwing money at products to make me ski better? Like, that's not the solution. The solution is learning that proper technique. All this stuff that I've been doing, the modified parallel turns that I've shown in some of my videos, is all on relatively light duty gear. I don't have locked heels in there, and I know a lot of skiers at the Nordic Center that I work at that are expert alpine skiers, and they just know how to work with cross-country skis, Nordic skis, and still do parallel turns off-piste in variable terrain. They just have that skill set and that agility and ability to do that. I'm working toward that. I'm not great at that, but I'm making do with that. And again, it's not because I have this super heavy duty gear that's going to allow me to make these turns easily. It's because I'm learning body position. So that's kind of the long answer to how a boot should fit, but it's hard to talk about the fit of a boot in relation to technique and skill set with cross-country skis, because cross-country skiing is so technique dependent. If you don't know proper classic diagonal striding, for example, you're limiting yourself as to the terrain you can access and the places you can go, the things that you can do. So invest in yourself rather than products to make you a better skier. Enough of my soapbox. I'm going to close it out here. What a day. Holy cow. It's April 14th or 15th today, and it's beautiful out here. We got about 4 inches of snow down on the south shore. On the north shore of Lake Tahoe, they got upwards of 6 to 8 inches. Holy cow. It's just absolutely beautiful out here. So I'm going to go do a little bit more skiing. That said, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or feedback, post it in the comment section below. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out TahoeTrailGuide.com. I have a dedicated article about cross-country ski boots, classic boots, that goes over a bunch of different types of cross-country ski boots that I have and that I've used in the past, ranging from those little track ski boots to the beefy 3-pin, you know, full upper ankle support type off-track and backcountry cross-country ski boots. So check that out. I also have a Patreon account as well as a paypal.me option if you feel compelled to contribute in a financial way to the health and longevity of Tahoe Trail Guide, as well as this YouTube channel. I appreciate all of your support. Thank you for watching, and take care, everyone. GoPro stop capture.